Okay. Um, we got Nancy Grace. One of the things too, because there's a new podcast. Oh, how long does this thing take to go live? Okay, there's a new podcast, and also there was a video episode last night. I don't know if they released it on YouTube. We could watch some of the video episode if it came out. I don't know if it did or not, but we'll definitely listen to the podcast. I got a couple other articles too that we can go over. Let me see. Nancy Grace today. Let's see. And what do you guys think about? Oh, it looks like some channels uploaded it, but I don't know if it's safe to play. Honestly, I don't want to. Might be kind of risky. Or we could listen to it. Also, we could listen to it. Maybe we just don't play the video. What do you guys think about the whole that website, the Tap Talk? Do you guys think that's really that? Let me do a poll real quick. Warm up, slow down. I was at the gym. I feel really good. I'm glad I got to work out. The Tap Talk account, real or fake? Real or fake, or real or not? Him or not? Let's do him or not. And I found more posts last night. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. I found more last night, and honestly, yo, I'm gonna tell you my thoughts on that, man. So, like, I try to do a background search on Bryan Kohberger, and the site that I use, nothing pops up. Somebody else that I contacted to do a background search, this person told me that previously they were able to pull them up on some other sites, but now they were only able to pull them up on one site. And so I think the way that Tapatalk forum account was tracked down was via one of his emails, right? I need the link to that Tapatalk thing now. Tapatalk. What's that guy's name? What's his account name on there? I can't remember this guy's name. Let's see. History. I'm going to tell you why I think it's possibly real. So this guy's name. Okay. Something interesting. So apparently, you should always try to go to the link if you can pull it up. So XR, right? EXARR, those with visuals. I never hit the poll. My bad. It's just sitting there. Ask community. Okay. This guy is the same account that people have pulled up the SoundCloud. So apparently there's a SoundCloud. This guy's like freestyling. You guys ever heard of the rap song? People believe that's him on SoundCloud. Now let me pull up his SoundCloud as well. I'm gonna tell you why I kind of think it's him. I'll tell you why. I wish I had his email accounts that I could search myself on the website. I don't know it to be him, but the reason I think it's possibly him. So the SoundCloud, I didn't realize this until last night when we were talking on Discord. XR, EXARR, Bryan matches up with this same thing. XR, those with visuals, right? And some of the other things that people were talking about is, well, maybe he just updated the profile, which is a legitimate thought. But this account was last active February 20th, 2012. Now, some people think it doesn't look like him. I think the nose is a freaking match, man. I think his nose matches up. Let me see if I can find that picture. I know it's kind of crazy. Maybe I'm like a sleuth now. Maybe I'm one of these troublesome sleuths. But I'm just talking about it. Well, that's what we do too. Just talk about it. I don't know, man. That nose to me is like undeniable, bro. That's a special nose. Like the circumference and the longitude and latitude, that shit to me looks identical. What do you guys think, man? I still didn't put the poll? Go! Oh, an error occurred. It's not letting me do the poll. All right, hold on. I think I still have the old chat open. Too many streams today. Too many streams. I really want to know your guys' thoughts on this. I was kind of doubtful. I was like, I don't know. But I'm honestly kind of leaning to, I think it's possible. It's plausible. And I wonder what hidden, I'm going to put the poll right now. Him or not him. Not Okay, now I got the poll going. That was troublesome. There we go. Bear with me. Buckle your seatbelt. I don't know, man. I was looking at this last night too, and we were talking about it. I was like, that nose, man. And to me, the timeline matches up. Somebody was trying to say the timeline don't match up. From what I could see, the timeline does match up. Somebody was trying to tell me, oh, but his transformation wasn't in high school. The article that I saw from his friend said it happened during high school. I don't know. Ash says the right side of his mouth goes up a little in both pics. Oh, like right there? I think so. It's kind of blurry and stuff. Even you know what I was looking at too? Even his chin. The way it just kind of like that. I don't know. So a couple of little pieces, right? So we got the pictures. We got these two profiles, which again, I wish I could do my own background search because then I would definitely be like, I could try to find out for you guys, right? But not only that. So apparently, I didn't know you could do this. You can click on the post, right? 118 posts. 118 posts, right? And so there's a bunch of posts. You can find all his posts here. I haven't gone through all of them. Maybe one day I will if I really want to spend my time. I mean, you might find some interesting stuff. Maybe the sleuths can, if they haven't already. But I want to show you something I thought in particular as well. Let's see if I can find it. I might have to use the find, but well, no, I'm going to have the page load up. And one of these things, he says, I made a song. Okay, here it is. Releasing a rap song for everyone with VS. I don't know, so I just thought that was interesting. I want to express our struggles through rap. Now, maybe it's not Bryan. Maybe it's some other Bryan. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's some other Bryan. But I think it's plausible. XR with those visuals now. XR Bryan. It's interesting. I think they kind of look alike. I think it's very plausible, man. It's not letting you do a poll? Oh, it's not letting me do the poll. Bro, struggling, man. I don't know what's going on. Always check out the ears. Sultry cat lady. The ears are second best to fingerprints. Can they do ear prints? Imagine that, yo, if they could do ear prints. Like they just take the side of your head, like put some ink on your shit and like plaster your head on the side, and that's another form of identification. Did you hear the rap song? I don't know if I can play it. I don't think there's a copyright in it. You guys think there's a copyright on this? Maybe it's Joseph Morris. So like this whole thing, like first of all, this is not somebody that had forethought. This is not somebody like made this account or just updated the profile picture, because again, last active was 2012. Okay, so like it could be that maybe it's not him, but after looking last night, I don't know. It kind of seems like it could be. You know, I'll try to. I don't know if the instrumental is copyrighted. Let's see what they saying. There was a YouTube channel that posted this thing. If I could find that, I'd be able to actually check if it got copyright claimed or not. I don't care, yo. Let's roll this shit, right? Let's see what happens. Let me turn it down a little bit. And then we'll get to some of the articles in Nancy Grace. And it would be interesting if we could get Casey, the friend, to comment on this. I know she said she's done, but I wanted Casey to know if she could comment on, did this guy have these visual problems? Somebody had posted and said that he didn't have headaches, but that he had visual migraine stuff. I don't know. If she could comment on that, that would be interesting. But check it out.
Always the same thing that disrupts my life. Wonder when I'll change. I guess when the time is right. Procrastinating, mind arranged to change would be a fight. So I'm pacifist, like I'm afraid to get a bloody fist. Look at this, my mind is pissed and I keep running. Why is this? When I hit it, always lose him stunning. Always gentle giant, no defiance, all build an alliance and still think that I am peasant. I stuck in the future, but I'm never looking at the fucking present. Keep it up, act like you're all that. Here's a cookie too and a present. Led from a desert eagle, deagles going louder than my motherfucking beagle. And your life you get no sequel. Leave your loved ones crying like some seagulls. You are not my equal, you are eagle, but I'm feeble. And now I'm going regal. Don't fuck with us. If you learn a lesson. XR music.
And the rest of it's just an instrumental. What is XR? Is that just something he came up with? XR music? Is there any other tangible pieces we can pull with from that? XR music, nothing. It's on Apple Music. Beatport. Did he upload this to Beatport as well? No, that's somebody else. So the lyrics, and Mo sent this last night. Thank you, Mo, for doing that. And make sure you guys check us out on Discord. Sometimes we go on Discord. If you guys like the intimate stuff, if you want your voice heard, we were there chilling with like 50 people on Discord last night, chatting, talking, watching videos. I'm not doing that every night, but sometimes we'll hang out there. It's more intimate. We have a lot of fun. I also streamed on Twitch. Anyway, so the lyrics, always the same thing that disrupts my life. Wondering when I'll change. I guess when the time is right. Procrastinating my deranged to change would be a fight. So I'm a pacifist, like I'm already to get a bloody fist. Look at this, mine is pissed. And I keep running. Why is this? When I hit always, when I'm sunning, gentle giant, no defiance, all building alliances, still think that I'm present. I'm stuck in the future, but I'm never looking at the effing present. Keep it up, act like you're all that. Here's a cookie too and a present. Okay. Led from a desert eagle. Eagles going louder than my mother effing beagle. And you get no sequel. Leave you loved ones crying. Oh. Like some seagulls, you're not my equal, you are evil, but I'm evil. And now I'm going regal. Don't F with us, you'll learn your lesson. XR music. I don't know. I really don't know, man. It would be nice to kind of get a little bit of some sort of, I don't know, more on that someday. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know if this would be relevant in trial. Like, I feel like maybe the defense, if this was actually him, maybe they could try to use it. Or maybe if he already has some sort of medical, psychological problems or he's on medication. I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. So I just want to kind of touch on that a little bit. Oh, the other thing too, real quick to clear up. So when I had the attorney on the other day, she had mentioned like 23andMe, but the DNA was gotten through a paternity test. That's how they did it. So, and there was kind of some confusion at the beginning of when all the information came out. And so they just, through the trash, I guess they got some DNA and it matched up to like 99 point whatever percent of being Bryan's father. And so then they just got to do a DNA swab of him, I guess, to fully confirm that it's him, but it has to be him, you know? All right. So this part here, internet sleuths in Idaho murder case becoming a problem, former FBI agent says. And this is that savage guy. This guy wasn't having it. He's the one that like came up with this story that's like, oh yeah, my friend said that Steve Goncalves is like homicidal. And honestly, man, I don't know. I feel like he made that shit up. I feel like he was thinking that and he's just like, oh, friend. But I don't know. Let's see what he has to say. I don't even know if he talks on this. Let's see what he has. Hopefully he's not going to go in on the roommate. ID victim's roommate waited 8 hours. Oh, Lord.
Jonathan, great to have you. All signs increasingly pointing to the husband. What's your take?
What? Oh, this is the other shit. That's the other story.
Well, I think regardless of what the authorities say about the...
All right, I'll have to read it then. Well, experts say it would be out of the ordinary for the Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger to have attended the vigil, which actually, that's another thing. People keep talking about that he attended the vigil. I don't know. Attended a vigil for the victims he allegedly slaughtered in November. One is warning allegations being made by internet sleuths are becoming a problem in the investigation. Former Special Agent Jonathan Gillum. And isn't this like ironic that this guy's talking about what the internet sleuths when when he had the whole thing where like, oh yeah, a friend told him that Steve Goncalves, it seems very homicidal, like pointing to like the father was involved. Monday to discuss the latest on the murder investigation and what the armchair detectives are saying about the case. That's actually pretty common for killers to somewhat show back up to the crime scene or at the vigil. And as we saw that he returned back to the crime scene even later the day after he allegedly did this. Gillum told co-host Todd Pirro, I don't think it would be far-fetched thing for him to show up at the vigil, which I agree. I don't think it's that far-fetched. But Gillum was quick to note that although it is very possible Kohberger attended the event honoring the lives of the four slain University of Idaho students, the internet sleuths are now facilitating issues within the investigation. One problem I'm having today is with these internet sleuths. I didn't have a problem with them at first, but I think now the problem is that they are inciting things, Gillum said. In the case of the girl who the roommate didn't call police immediately, they're making mountains out of a molehill, and they're actually in the case of this girl causing the public to turn on certain people. So the online sleuths are becoming a problem. And also mainstream media is starting to report things that they say that don't really make any difference at all to the entire case, he continued. Jennifer Coffindaffer, an FBI or former FBI agent, echoed Gillum's statements regarding, I just think it's kind of rich a little bit because some of these people, they're doing the same shit, if you ask me. Maybe this is the video we're looking for. Let's watch this one. I was kind of looking for a video for us. Here we go.
The quadruple murder case are puzzled as to why the victim's surviving roommate waited 8 hours to call police after seeing a masked figure walk past her in the home that night. Former FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer joins me now. Jennifer, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So what do you make of this? What are your thoughts on the fact that the roommate waited 8 hours after she saw this alleged killer?
Well, I think she was completely frozen in fear, and that is judging from the affidavit where that is exclaimed. And I can tell you from somebody who has faced myself, the worry of being killed, that you do freeze. That is a normal response to either freeze or flee. And so she had a normal response to this, the trauma, the stress of seeing this masked man in her home at 4 in the morning. She secreted herself in her bedroom after that, according to the affidavit. And I would believe she perhaps passed out or otherwise.
That's one of the possibilities I was thinking of, that maybe she passed out. And speaking on this, it reminds me of, I got to show you guys this 3D model. I'm not going to waste time taking through the whole thing, but I didn't realize until last night, we were talking about this on Discord, that the roommate's room is directly under where Kaylee and Maddie were murdered. I didn't realize that until last night. Like, they're literally above her room. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Did you guys know that? I'm sure a lot of people knew. I didn't even realize that last night. I'll see if I can find that 3D model link. I was like, oh, snap.
Became unconscious as a result of this trauma and stress.
You know, Jennifer, I think if there's one thing we've learned from this investigation is let the investigation play out. Let the police and the FBI do their jobs, because at first everybody thought, well, they were just not doing anything and it was going to go cold, and we saw how that happened. But this roommate's testimony is going to be very important in this trial. What happens if so many people online start muddying up this water and she just says, I cannot testify? What happens then?
Well, I'm hopeful that she has a victim advocate that is working with her from the FBI, and I'm hoping she's shielded from some of this social media. As you may have seen, it's actually relentless against her, termed DM in the affidavit. And it's really sad because she's not a villain. She's a victim in this situation.
Right. I mean, honestly, I think I would do the same thing. If you're frozen in your tracks, you just go to your room, you shut the door, and you don't really know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people should like attack this girl, and I just can't imagine like the guilt probably that she has and stuff like that. I feel like it's okay to talk about it. Like it's freaking shocking, but you know, I guess some people are implying like involvement or something like that. Or, I mean, it's so hard to say when people are, you know, hindsight and, oh, she could have done this, she could have done that. And she could have got killed also, you know. It is bizarre though, but I mean, and people have thought maybe she passed out, maybe she was on something, maybe she was drunk, maybe blah blah blah. I don't know, and I just hope that when the trial starts, that maybe we'll get those missing pieces to answer that question. A lot of people, I see you guys in the chat, a lot of people are just like, you know, it doesn't make sense to them. I don't know, for that period of time. And somebody had shared to me one of the last live streams that we did. Somebody had shared with me like the story of like somebody that the whole family was killed, but this person survived, and they just hid for like hours because they were just afraid to move. They were afraid they were going to get killed, and so they didn't do anything, you know, until like way later on.
And nobody was there. No one can.
But I just think it's kind of funny coming, especially from this other guy, the other former FBI agent. He's the one that literally implied that Kaylee's father was like involved. So to turn around and be like, yo, these internet sleuths, some of these people are the experts or whatever, they're doing the same thing.
And say how she was feeling. But apparently there's a lot of people saying online that Kohberger was spotted at a vigil several days after the killings. What do you make of this? Is that typical behavior, if it were to be true? Is that typical behavior of someone who is guilty?
Absolutely typical behavior. They want to be in the midst of what's happening, listen to the rumors, be abreast of everything. I would believe that whoever committed this murder watched closely on social media, mainstream media, not only eating it up for tips as to what the investigation, the direction it was going, but also sort of seeing before him what he had done play out in the media. He loves this attention.
So classes resume Wednesday for the students on campus. Do you think there's really a renewed sense of relief for the students and honestly the parents too, because they left without a suspect being in custody? And there's been a lot that's transpired through there, not only because they have a suspect in custody, but also I think it has a lot to say about the police work in the area.
Yes, just an excellent job done by LE, and I would think there would be a huge sense of relief and ability to go back on campus now, really not fearing any more of something like this tragically happen, because this individual, at least the individual accused, not been convicted, presumed innocent, but is behind bars now, making that community more safe.
Mm-hmm. Jennifer Coffin-Deffer, thank you so much.
So, I mean, yeah, you know, I some of the, for sure, like some of the stuff that people do online is harmful, you know, especially like this TikTok sleuth that's like straight out, like, you know, accusing somebody. Yeah, that's the end of that. So there's a couple of things. Law enforcement calling freedom of speech a problem. Who would have thought that? All right, there's another thing. So Flossie sent me this. Well, a couple things before we get. We're still warming up. If you guys could hit the like button, I'd appreciate that. Mo put this together. And then Diggs did this side by side. I don't know. I think it's definitely interesting. I feel like we should probably save that website, all the posts, in case it gets scrubbed. I think it's interesting. I do think it's possible. And here's another picture side by side. This is him. It's just like he has such a distinct nose, I think, that it's like, you know, this is him, confirmed him on the left. And it's like long too, you know? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more. So the other thing, so Flossie sent me this. I think a friend of Xana did an interview. Let's see here. News Nation posted this. News Nation exclusive. Let's check this out.
Well, the new semester starts this week at the University of Idaho, with the campus still reeling after the brutal murder of 4 students. Suspect Bryan Kohberger remains behind bars, being held on no bail. And for the families, the next chapter in this case is just starting to sink in. Senior national correspondent Brian Inton is live in Moscow. Brian, you had a chance to speak exclusively with Kaylee Goncalves' sister, Olivia, for the first time since the arrest was made.
Yeah, we did, Nicole. This is obviously a very emotional time for her and for her family, especially as they all prepare to go back to court again later this week. She wanted to make one point very clear, though. She says that people should be holding off judgment right now when it comes to the surviving roommate who police say saw the killer inside the house behind me.
The families of the Idaho murder victims are preparing for Bryan Kohberger's next court hearing this week, as we hear from Kaylee Goncalves' sister Olivia for the first time since Kohberger was arrested.
There's this feeling that many have shared that perhaps Kohberger was watching the interviews, was in the Facebook groups, was on Twitter. Do you get a sense that that might be the case, that he was almost watching all of this as it played out?
I do. A lot of that comes from the fact that he had visited the home so many times before, late at night, early hours. He's presented this pattern of behavior. He went back to the home the morning of, before police had been called, I think to see if his circus, so to say, had started to unfold. And I think that he would not have been able to refrain from engaging with the online communities, the theories, the conspiracies, and everything in between.
Kaylee's sister speaking exclusively with News Nation, saying it is terrifying that true evil was watching over the college students. She's also defending surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen, who police say was awake and saw the killer, but did not call 911 for almost 8 hours.
I do know Dylan is really young, and she was probably really, really scared. And until we have any more information, I think everyone should stop passing judgments, because you don't know what you would do in that situation.
The Goncalveses are in the process of setting up a foundation to help keep Kaylee's memory alive. Xana Kernodle's family has set up a scholarship in her name at the University of Idaho.
Did you feel any relief, Sydney, when there was the announcement of an arrest?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. I still think there's a lot of answers that I would like. So until I get those, I think I still I'm going to be a little hung up on this. So just about the answers, I guess.
Sydney Gribnitz was Xana's childhood best friend. Now Sydney and her dad have started a fundraiser through their gymnastics academy in Florida to raise money for Xana's scholarship endowment.
Xana was one of our students for about 6 years, and besides that, she was also one of my daughter's best friends, so she was always at our house. Her dad was single. She would come to our house until he'd pick her up after work, so it was almost like losing another daughter. So it's been a really difficult time period for sure.
And the fraternity Sigma Chi has also set up a scholarship for Ethan Chapin. All of these families and the victims' friends now trying to come up with ways to bring some good out of the situation.
Okay. So that was that. Oh, we got to do this too, I think. Oh, this was interesting too. There's a couple of things. I didn't realize how much. I thought I had nothing. Before the Nancy Grace, I actually had quite a bit. Let me get the super chats real quick. I want to see this too. I haven't watched this yet. Kohberger's former friend speaks out on suspect's background. Curious to hear that. Chemistry Queen, thank you for the super chat. Says, what is that? You might be talking about the Tappa Talk stuff. Hopefully, I think we answered that. Sultry Cat Lady. Oh yeah, always check the ears. My friend was telling me about the pictures and stuff that he has. Let me see. She said for her, it's the brown ridge and the eye shape for me. More distinct than even the very conspicuous nose. He had a really prominent brow ridge and deep set orbital sockets. Okay. Sultry Cat Lady, always check. Oh yeah, I got that already. Sinner, thank you for the super chat. Says he's a clown, just shucking a mediocre book. Oh, you talking about the guy? Yeah, the FBI former. Wendy, thank you so much for the super chat. Says XR is an ex-Army Ranger who inspired his diet. XR? Really? I never heard of that before. Can you email me? Send me some more information. So you're saying that's where he got that name from? There is. It's actually a. Is it a diet? Oh, I don't know. I can't really say anything on that. Yeah, send me an email if you find out more information about that, please. Pedro, thank you for the super chat. Says, imagine thinking Bryan did this by himself. A lot of people do, even police do, apparently. Trudy says, visual snow syndrome is a rare condition that causes a continuous visual disturbance that occupies the whole visual field. Somebody sent me a video the other day. I don't know where it's at, but they sent me like what it would look like. And it was like I think it was a YouTube video or something. And through the eyes of somebody that has that, what it would look like. Miss Michelle, thank you for the super chat. Bloop, bloop. Gypsy, thanks for the super chat. Says, my keyboard is broken, hard to type. Hi, Mel in chat. Hey, what's up? Let's check this out.
Was a criminal justice major. We know he was pursuing his PhD. We know that he had postings talking about he wanted to know why criminals do what they do, but who really was this suspect? So we wanted to bring in someone that knew the person in a prior life. I want to bring in someone who knew him, the suspect personally, Rich Pasqua. You worked with him for a period of time. Rich, what can you tell me about the suspect? What was he like?
He was just your average guy. I met him through some friends, and they told me that he was a little weird, and he was a little socially awkward, I guess you could say. But he wasn't a bad guy. He needed a job, so I worked at a pizza shop at that time, and they were hiring. I said, yeah, come on in and apply, and he did, and he got the job. So I worked with him for a little bit. But he was quiet, though.
What
he
was
didn't ever come off
conversation like with him?
What was that?
What was conversation like with him? Like when you talk with him at work, would he look you in your eyes? Did he have friends? Did he have a girlfriend at the time?
It was so long ago. It was like 2013, but he didn't have a girlfriend. I do remember that. And my wife went to school with him. They graduated together, and she doesn't remember him ever having a girlfriend. And I don't remember him ever having a girlfriend. And he didn't have many friends, so he like would do anything to fit in. And would do like, he just wanted to be liked by everybody. But he wasn't a bad kid. Like, he was all right. And I knew his sister. I went to school with his sister. And I knew his father worked for the school. And I believe his mother did too. But his family, they were all nice people. And, his dad was always really nice to me, very polite. But I never thought that he would do something like that.
Good copy. So we've heard from some people that surrounded him that there may have been drug use in his life prior as well. Did you know him to use drugs or anything like that, sir?
Yeah, he did use drugs. That's how I really know him too. He was a big heroin addict, and so was I. I got 6 years clean now. I work in treatment and everything, but back then I was using, and so that's how I know for a fact he was using. I've got high with him a couple times and used with him. And I remember one night we went out and his car broke down and his dad had to come out and he got pretty angry. Well, because his car broke down and everything and we couldn't get what we needed that night. I
totally got like, well, I shouldn't say it, like stoner vibes or something.
I knew other people.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, bro. He's a nice kid, man. We got high together.
That dealt drugs, and we would deliver drugs to him a lot. And so that's when I heard about this case. I haven't heard from him in so long. And then I heard about this, and it said that he was going to college. I said, I haven't heard from him. I guess that's what he's been doing. He must have cleaned up. I know he was in and out of rehab a couple times, but he really did. He cleaned up and was going to college all these years.
Rich, I'm short on time, but I got to ask you one last question.
I knew something was up. Like, I just felt the drug vibe. You ever get that? Like, yeah, like I've had my fun back in the day, rolling and whatever, and I've been around a lot of people, so you just get the vibe. Just start talking. Hey, man.
Question: we've heard from people.
He's not bad. He's a nice guy.
Track record of being inappropriate,
drug buds,
borderline offensive to women. Did you ever see that in any of your interactions with him and interactions with women?
Not in my time knowing him. I've never seen him ever act like that towards women. I've never seen him come off that way ever towards anybody.
Yeah. Rich, thank you so much for joining the program. I'm sorry I'm short on time. Hopefully he'll come back.
Yeah, cut it. They're like, he doesn't have anything to say. Cut it. Damn it.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Nice guy, though. So, in and out of rehab, they used to get high together. I guess they used to sell to him, too. And that's the thing. Like, so this guy, has he ever had a girlfriend? Has he ever had... That's interesting. I gotta talk to Sylvia about that. Damn, bro. Because I have yet to hear about any kind of girlfriend ever. Has he ever dated anybody? Jeez. All right. I think we're ready to listen to Nancy. Because I got till 8:30 Eastern. Oh, real quick, we could do this too. 3 hours later. The New York Post. So this is the whole Vigil thing that everybody was talking about. Some online sleuths claim mass slaying suspect Bryan Kohberger can be spotted in images taken during a vigil. The hawk-eyed internet users theorize a man who they believe resembles 28-year-old suspect can be seen in the video taken on November 30th. Clips viewed thousands of times and shared online. So let's take a look. I mean, the sleuths, sometimes they find stuff though, man. Like, and with Gabby, it was helpful too. I just think it's when they're falsely accusing people, they're saying certain words that can be kind of harmful, Let's just mute the theatrical music. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's him. I don't think the hair really matches. His hair like that? His hair looks more curlier, isn't it? I don't know. What do you guys think? You think it looks like him? And has this guy, he hasn't come forward, wherever this is? I heard about the Tinder thing, but I don't know if that's true. There was a Reddit post about it, and that person that posted it deleted it. And that person that alleged, not him, right? I don't think that looks like him. That person that posted on Reddit claiming that there was like a Tinder date, which they deleted the post, had said that like the guy was weird and that she went to the bathroom and pretended to vomit loudly in order to leave, so she started making all these vomiting sounds and said she had to leave. That's her claim, but there's nothing verifiable at all. That's what I wonder though. Has this guy ever been on a date? Where's his friends at? Maybe these people are afraid to come forward. Like we've seen a couple of people come forward that said they know him. Let me help out. Put a little slow in the chat. The chat says no. Yeah, I don't think so. This poor guy must be sweating, scared and shit. It reminds me of the Brian Laundrie thing. It's like a search. Yeah, I remember I've been saying for a while too, we've talked about this incel theory, and I was kind of leaning towards incel. Even if he's not a full incel, to me, the guy strikes me as an incel, man. He tried to get out of whatever he was in, but he couldn't. Oh, somebody sent me something.
Sleuth investigating the murders. A posting on Facebook has people.
When did this come out? An hour ago. Okay, nice. Oh, okay, Jessica, thank you for sending this. Amazing. Gracias. Jessica sent me this link. And let's check it out. I could clip this for Twitter. Put this on Twitter for the gram. Okay, so this Inside Edition clip did accuse Bryan Kohberger posed as a citizen sleuth. What? Oh, this is the whole... Is this the Papa thing?
Secretly posed as a citizen sleuth investigating the murders. A posting on Facebook has people wondering if it was
not the
really
Papa.
Kohberger. It was posted on November 30th after police announced the victims were killed
Not the
with
Papa.
a large knife. This leads me to believe they found the sheath. It proved chillingly accurate. Prosecutors now say a knife sheath was left behind at the scene, and important DNA evidence was found on the button snap. The mysterious citizen sleuth also posted this theory. Killer parked behind the house, approached the property through tree line, entered sliding door. That matches what police now say actually happened. Former FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer believes the mystery sleuth is Kohberger.
They love to reach out to the media. They love to reach out to police and sort of taunt. And it's part of their narcissistic behavior, believing they are not going to get caught, even dangling these carrots, just almost edging people to catch them.
As classes resume after winter break here at Washington State University in Pullman, students and faculty return knowing that one of their own sits in jail 8 miles away, accused of 4 brutal slayings. This video is going viral on social media today with speculation that it's Kohberger attending a heart-wrenching vigil for the victims at the University of Idaho 2 weeks after the murders.
One of the most powerful moments of tonight's vigil was when...
Look, the same man...
no, that's not him! Oh my God. Lord, oh Lord.
Behind me as I was reporting that night. There he is again. We can definitely say the...
Oh my God. Thank you, Jessica, for that.
Online speculation is not accurate. He's clearly not Bryan Kohberger. And the sister of victim Kaylee Goncalves is coming to the defense of Dylan Mortensen. Dylan is the surviving roommate who came face to face with the killer, but did not call 911 for 8 hours.
Dylan is really young, and she was probably really, really scared. And until we have any more information, I think everyone should stop passing judgments.
Hey, Jessica, good clip, and that just came out an hour ago. Thank you. I'm gonna clip that for for Twitter. All right, I think we should get started. 40 minutes later. Listen to Nancy Grace. I haven't listened to this yet. This is different from the video last night. Play it.
I'm Cheryl McCollum, host. I'm Cheryl McCollum, host of the brand new Cold Case podcast.
And I emphasize at least 12 times before the murder, dating all the way back to June. Was that before he even started school in his PhD program? He was already staking them out. We know he had picked his victims by then based on what cops are saying, but why then?
And by the way, that Papa Roger thing, somebody had emailed me the other day, and that picture is a common picture. For the people that think that is him, could be, could be not, but like that picture, he didn't use like an aging app and aged himself. This woman had sent me pictures of that profile avatar that has been used before by other people, other websites. And so, I mean, it still could be him, but it's not he didn't like age himself and make him put himself into the image.
What was the connection? As the desperate search for the murder weapon goes on, we are waiting, holding our breaths for the next bombshell to drop. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. Who is this guy? Take a listen to our friends KXLY.
The last time the Arns family saw him was when Kohberger was working as a security guard at a local school a couple years back.
When we talked to him there, everything seemed, normal. He was polite and everything. It was very weird to hear this stuff.
Washington State University confirms he was a PhD student at the time of the alleged murder, and Tom adds he was smart.
Very intelligent, and then, he would explain things in like a really odd way that had to be really sophisticated way of explaining stuff.
There is still so much more to explain and understand in this investigation. It's unsettling for Tom to think about how this person, who they knew for years, could have killed these 4 students.
Just insane.
You know, why is it that everyone talks about how normal the guy was way back when? You know, they said that about BTK. We find out that Bundy charmed people, very charming. Scott Peterson seemed like the all-American guy, didn't he? We're hearing the same thing now, but can that possibly be true? With me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But first, I want to go out to Fox senior correspondent Laura Ingle. Laura, thank you for being with us. You know, I was thinking about it before we took to the air. If he had started staking out the 4 students back in June, his classes at the PhD program, had they even started?
Yeah, you know, he was in that area as far as when we look at the records of when he moved there, when the car was registered, how it was registered, it appears as though he was there. And the other thing about that key piece that we heard on page 4 of the probable cause affidavit, not to jump ahead, but the idea that one of the surviving roommates heard somebody in the house say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." I just want to remind us of a story that we heard very early on when Bryan Kohberger was first arrested and we didn't have a name. And when we heard that name, Bryan Kohberger, everybody pulled up this old newspaper article from Pennsylvania when he was a part-time security guard at a school district, and how he was a part of the super heroic saving of a woman who had an asthma attack. And he and another school guard, you know, got down on the ground and helped her. And they said Bryan helped to save her life. And I just wanted to draw that connection of just, I don't know if he said those words, if that was a recording of some kind on her TikTok, but it was just, I thought, you know, an interesting connection that he was a private security guard in an effort at all of the criminology that he took and the applying to be an intern with the Pullman Police Department, that there is a record of him being on the ground trying to help a woman, you know, running to get an AED to save a woman's life. So I know that we had talked a little bit about that on previous shows.
Yeah.
But it is certainly eerie.
Yeah, you know what, Laura Ingle, it really is, because you see the dichotomy of someone that could have been really a hero in this world and has done the exact opposite and turned into the devil. And of course, let me just say again, before I'm pilloried online, everyone is presumed innocent until they're proven guilty. And that goes for Bryan Kohberger as well. You know, Dr. Bethany Marshall joining us, a high-profile psychoanalyst, joining us out of Beverly Hills at drbethanymarshallmd.com. Dr. Bethany, that's really interesting what Laura Ingle told us, how he had gone so far as to save someone's life, being written up and lauded for it, and then somehow took a really dark turn. But my initial reaction was, it's a show. There's a whole drama going on. It's Kohberger's world, and we're all just living in it.
Nancy, think about one of the associated features of sociopathy, which
what you just said means nothing to me. I don't even know what you're talking about.
The hell are you talking about?
The what? Well, one of the what of the what?
So sociopaths and serial killers
Crazy
are
people.
Always sociopaths. And if Bryan Kohberger did this, we were going to guess that this is a first killing in what was intended to be a long life of serial killing. Okay, so let's hold that in our minds that he is possibly a serial killer and he got caught on his first offense. So what do we know about men like this? And yes, they're mostly men. They are grandiose. They are glib. They are charming. But it's a thin veneer. It's a superficial veneer of grandiosity, meaning that they want to be the center of attention. They want to be the star. They want everybody to look up to them. They want to feel like they are saving the world. But when I say it's a thin veneer, they'll only act this way until you disagree with them. And then the veneer cracks and they become vicious, they become mean, and they
I still wonder how this guy came to target them. Was it just still random? He had seen him somewhere, or was he turned down? Was he rejected? Did something happen? Let me just play this real quick. Okay, good. Just wanted to clip this for a little Twitter clip. The super chats, just real quick. Jackie says, left pick Tyler Hadley killed parents in through party. Mel's legs. What? Somebody made an account? Mel's legs. Thank you for the super chat. I gotta see that account. I wonder what they use for the thumbnail. Ali Coeur, PSA, this is not Bryan at the Vigil. Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna put that video out so people can see that. Sweetness, I got you. Send me an email. Colorado, I'm really behind on my Instagram, so like there's a bunch of requests on there, especially the personal one. I'm just careful with who I accept on my personal one. It's like 500 requests on there. Colorado Mountain Life says, is it true that the Papa Roger name is in relation to the actual incel murderer, Elliot Rodger? He might have been very intrigued by Elliot. I don't know. I know of Elliot Rodger, and I've seen some videos on him. That guy that was a YouTuber, and like he went on a killing spree, and like was upset and hated women, and was upset at guys that got with women. He just hated people all around, it seemed like. I feel like this guy fits somewhat of the profile of an incel, but also there's possibly other factors, you know, and like how he was being bullied, and supposedly girls were throwing things at him, and the bully became the bully. That's what some people said.
Go on the attack. So think about the little boy he saved with the asthma attack. I can imagine the parents calling him, asking him over to dinner, him getting cards, you know, maybe asked to go on a local TV show. I'm just kind of making this up. And that he revels in the glory of being so important. But what if one reporter or a parent says, yeah, but you know what? You cracked the boy's ribs when you were doing CPR, or, you know, I think you should have called 911 instead of trying to call save the boy yourself. Then he would have turned on them.
Well, I'm also wondering if that has anything to do with the way he picked his victims. Straight out to Chris McDonough joining me, director at the Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective Chris, who I found, by the way, on his YouTube channel, The Interview Room. Chris, I'm jumping off of what Dr. Bethany just said, and then I'm going to get back into what everybody wants to hear about Joe Scott, C.C. Moore, Dale Carson, the nuts and bolts of how this case is going to be proven or how it can be dismantled by a savvy defense attorney. And yes, it can be done. Chris McDonough, jumping off what Dr. Bethany just said, I've been asked over and over and over, what's the motive? Number one, state doesn't have to prove motive. Okay. We're not clairvoyant. We don't know what's going on in his head. Number two, it does help a jury to have a motive, so the killings make sense to them. Now, motive. Bethany was describing a scenario where someone who was a hero could quickly make an about face. We know, Chris McDonough, that there had been occasions where Kohberger had been asked to refrain from creeping out women at bars. We know that he bragged to a classmate, I could go to pretty much any bar or restaurant and have any lady I want. He actually said that. Okay, let that sink in for just a moment. Do you think there's a possibility, you know, he was doing all this study with felons, violent felons, about how did you pick your victims? How did you approach your victims? And a lot more. That's even creepier. Do you think somehow he had been at a bar or a restaurant and one of these young girls had ignored him or didn't respond to his advances? And that is how he started following them, because he would actually ask women at bars. I mean, Jack and Sid, how much would this creep you out if a guy came up and said, what's your address? I would run for the hills if I'd seen a monster.
Because that one video we did where we covered it from the, I think it was the bar owner. He had said that, like, yeah, the guy was a creep, a weirdo. You know, like, he kind of made the waitresses uncomfortable. He would, you know, once he got like 2 or 3 drinks in him, he would just, I forgot the exact words, but I know he called one of the women a B. And So much so that one of the times he came in, the owner had to walk up to him and be like, hey, like, you need to you're making women uncomfortable. And the guy acts surprised and shocked and never came back after he paid, which always gets me because I've talked to some people, like I've had weird situations where I've had to tell people, like even on Discord, I don't want to get too detailed, but like people making other people uncomfortable. And it's clear to me, like, this is kind of weird, but the person that's doing it has no awareness how weird and creepy this shit comes across. Like, it's normal, like this is some normal stuff. So it seems like these people sometimes seem to lack awareness, of how they're coming off. Maybe they can't help it.
I mean, for sure. No question about that. I mean, how about, hey, can I buy?
And that's the thing. And the other thing, too, is supposedly he had asked the girls or something like, I think he said, like, where do you live? Or some shit. He did say that. That's according to the guy. Where do you live? Hey, where do you live? How many are you? Where do you live?
Are you a Diet Coke? I don't know. Something like that. Every time I throw a line to one of the twins to use on their love objects, they tell me how horrible they are. I don't know what a good pickup line would be. I suggested to one of the twins to say, how was your New Year? And they doubled over laughing. They could never say, how was your New Year to somebody? So I'm not good at that. So Chris McDonough, what about it?
Well, Nancy, the fact that it's not an obvious motive that's, right on the surface here, and the fact that we talked about this on your show earlier where, he treated this killing as if it was an event, his life.
One of his creepy experiments?
Yes.
Oh, Chris, wait, you just gave me a thought. Hold on.
Yep.
You know how he would ask all the violent felons, murderers, rapists, child rapists, what was going through your mind? How did you feel during the murder or during the rape? I wonder if he was doing this to see how it really did feel. What it was really like. I mean, this whole thing was over it. I'm sure Joe Scott and Dale Carson are going to have something to say about this. Over in 16 minutes, based on the timing when he pulled up and when he left. It was almost clinical, in and out. There was no rape. There was no theft. He just went in, did the killing, and left. Chris McDonough. How's that?
Yeah, and he presented himself in such a cool-headed chameleon type of way, evident of the fact that we have, this information allegedly that he says, I'm here to help you. So this guy allegedly, if he is the suspect, which, he's been arrested, he is that guy that if somebody, and the doc can keep me honest here, if somebody pushes him away, he's going to hold a grudge for quite some time. So in my mind, my question has been, how long has he been holding this grudge? And that those women, were they the receivers of that anger?
Good thought. And I want to follow up with Laura Ingle. Laura Ingle, senior correspondent, Fox News. Laura, you were so incredible on Fox News last night. Every time you start talking, it completely changes the course of my questioning. I hope you know that, which is a good thing, because it's always something new that you're going to say. I want to follow up on what Chris said. And guys, remember, how many times do I have to tell you this? Dale Carson and Joe Scott Morgan and C.C. Moore, brilliant genealogists, by the way. We're not having tea at Highgrove with King Charles and Camilla, okay? Jump in.
Well, there's no question he had a relationship with those
women.
Don't
jump in quite yet.
Come on. You know he had a relationship.
Wait. Laura, you're going to like this, Dale. Yes. You're going to like this. Okay, if he had met them, all right, at some point, getting a coffee and saying, hey, do you live around here? And she goes, well, I'm not going to say it because that's a curse word. I gave up cursing. Get lost. I'll put it in a nice way. He was staking them out in June, Laura. So were the girls already there? Did they live there over the summer?
That's a great question. I think that we assume that some of them did, but I don't know if we have those records that shows that. But you're right. The cell phone tower information about how many times he had been back.
Yeah.
But I also want to fast forward really quick because I thought about this last night.
Uh-oh, here she goes. Train out of control.
You know how we've been watching how, there's a direct line of path from his apartment in Pullman to the apartment to the rental home in Moscow, Idaho. And then he takes this crazy path home where it goes down and around, and he's obviously trying to, take a different route. But we've all, I think, been on the same panel talking about Fotis Dulos. It was a case that we covered where a estranged husband murdered his wife of 5 children and had a mother of 5 children. And all along the way, he was dumping items. So where are the bloody clothes, the shoes, the mask, obviously the knife, anything that the duffel bag that he might have brought to change into clothes, anything of that sort? I'm curious now in the forward part of the investigation of, were there any cameras that picked him up going somewhere? Where did he dump those things? I know that we've been talking about how he dumped some garbage once he got to Pennsylvania, but did he do anything in that long roundabout way from the victim's residence back to Pullman? Because he took that, if you look at the map that's in the affidavit.
That is why I would argue Laura Ingalls is a better reporter on her sickbed than, guys, just so you know, she's had COVID. And more facts. And I don't mean institutional facts about this case that we've learned from the beginning. I mean, like what's happening right now. That's an incredible thought. Okay. This means something, Dale.
I think he was I don't know, just my thought and theory. I think maybe he was discarding evidence or getting rid of something along that path. I think 10 to Life talked about that too. I think that's what this lady's talking about. Serene, thank you for the super chat, says, hey Mel, I have a theory based on the probable cause affidavit and would like to share with you first. It would take a convo, see if you can assess if you want to share before I spend the time to put into a spreadsheet. What is your preference? So if you could email me, right? Email me, maybe we can exchange phone numbers and we'll talk about it. And then we'll see if you want to put together a spreadsheet. iCkEdMeL@gmail.com.
Carson, because I'm getting chills.
The knife is not all that important.
Can I just introduce you? Dale Carson, trial lawyer out of Jacksonville. I'm going to get it in. And this is a good part. Former FBI and former cop in Miami. Date at DaleCarsonLaw.com. Okay, go Dale.
You got an eyewitness of him being in the property. You have his DNA. You have a number of slaughtered victims. Having a knife isn't like trying to find a gun where you can connect the bullet through case markings to the actual firearm that you find in the defendant's possession. This is a knife. It can't be exactly, and Joe can correct me on this, it can't be exactly determined that was the knife unless there's DNA on it later.
You're absolutely right. And I'll tell you why. Joe Carson, and I've had it out with so many forensic dentists on this exact point. Let's do what you just said. Joseph Scott Morgan joining me, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, host of a new hit series, Body Bags, with Joe Scott Morgan on iHeart. Joe Scott, same theory applies to forensic dentistry as it does with this knife. Flesh is flexible, and you can't really, it's like trying to get a teeth mark in Jell-O. Ain't gonna happen. I mean, unless you've got some really crazy set of teeth, then occasionally I've seen it be very convincing.
Yeah, but still, you can't. One of the problems with, we're not going to go down this path too far.
Says you. I'll drive this train wherever I want to, young man. But go ahead.
Let's go.
I'm getting out of the car.
Somebody's getting sassy, Jackie.
You can't quantify bite marks. That's one of the problems in forensics.
Now, why do you say it like that when I said it was like biting into Jell-O? But go ahead, Professor.
Well, thank you. You can't quantify it, and the same applies to a knife wound. You can examine it, you can compare it, and you can say it's close to. Here's one thing that I find very interesting, and something that we do in the morgue that people might not be aware of. Even with knife wounds, prior to the things that we'll do are full body x-rays. And this is kind of key here because this knife was used allegedly multiple times, right? So every time you're striking with this knife, there is a potential that the structural integrity of the knife is being compromised. It's wearing down. And depending upon how well the blade is made, it can chip. And one of the things we look for in these x-rays that we do are little metal fragments. Now, you can't do it ballistically, but what you can do, and this is really cool, is that if you can recover one of those chips, you can do a metallurgical analysis on that chip. And what that means is the chemistry behind the creation of that blade is unique to that particular manufacturer.
Okay, wait. Let me just understand what you're saying. Are you saying a knife, use of a knife in a murder can use tiny microscopic pieces of metal in the wound?
Yes, it can.
Have you ever seen that happen?
Yes, I have.
How often have you seen that happen?
Infrequently.
You mean rarely? Okay, because Joe Scott, I hear what you're saying, and I do think it can happen. And as you were saying, the worse the quality of the knife, the more likely it will happen. I've never had a case where a knife left any type of metallurgy behind in a wound, but I do see how theoretically it can happen.
Yeah, tips of knives break off very frequently.
A tip breaks off, but I don't know that it's left in the wound.
Sure it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. It's left in bone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it happens. It happens with great frequency.
So back to what Laura Ingle brought up. Where in the hay is the murder weapon?
And I haven't really looked at the map. One day, I know some YouTubers I think they've covered it, that trip that he took. I forgot what river, or not river, but the area. 10 to Life talked about it. I know. I forgot the exact path, but it was just odd. I feel like he probably did discard of evidence or something along that path. Kind of went out of his way. Okay, let's see.
A fox neat. Sometimes. And thousands you have.
By Nano.
And if you guys could help me out with the like button, I'd appreciate that. Get the likes up. Oh, you guys are helping up. Thank you. If you're watching, please hit the like button and subscribe. We just got to 173. Trying to get to 174. Por favor, gracias. Let's keep going. And if you haven't watched if you haven't watched the story from earlier today, the live stream that I covered, and D-Land, if you're out there listening, thank you for the links, and BL and everybody else that helped out with Anna Walshy. I'll probably be doing another update on that tomorrow. I'm seeing some things come out. So I'm seeing by the time tomorrow comes, we'll have another update. That's the missing mother. If you missed that live stream from earlier today, it's pretty interesting. This woman is still missing. The husband was arrested. They have 3 kids. The kids were taken away. They found a knife with blood and blood in the basement. Allegedly, this guy was the next day or a couple days after she went missing, he was in freaking Home Depot making, was it $350 or $450 worth purchase worth of like cleaning supplies. It's weird, kind of interesting. She's still missing. So if you missed that, you're looking for something to watch, go check out today's earlier stream on that.
Labs, CC Moore. Again, you know what? Dummy down for me. I'm just a JD. I'm not a genetic genealogist. And you're bringing back memories, happy memories for me, sad memories for medical examiners and crime lab personnel, to go through every single line of their report and make them speak English that I can understand as a Shakespearean English major, CC. They need more DNA. Now, do I think the case is strong? Yes, I do. I think the case is incredibly strong. But that said, I can just see a Johnny Cochran move. God rest his soul. He was my co-anchor at Court TV, Cochran and Grace. I can see somebody like him coming in and going, what? Out of a bloodbath like this? And you're telling me the only DNA linking back to the defendant is a little epithelial skin cells on the snap, on the knife hilt? Really? And you going to send my guy to the death penalty over that? Oh, HELLNO. That is what is going to happen. I'm telling you right now, unless somehow they can find some other DNA.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nancy. They could argue that someone else transported that knife sheath to the crime scene.
Or they could argue this, Cece. Oh, Lord, I don't want to give them any ideas. What if they argued, yeah, he went to a knife and gun show and he looked at a lot of knives and he opened them up and looked at them and snapped them back and put them back on the display. Then, of course, they'd have to dig up a knife and gun show that was in that area. But that said, there's a million ways they could counter that one little bit of.
Thank you. Mo said Snake River. This is from somebody in the chat. Fofa Cat. Thank you, Fofa. To Snake River, Nez Perce Reservation, Hell's Gate State Park. Damn, what a name of a kind of a name of a park is that? Hell's Gate State Park. Okay.
DNA.
For sure. So I think we know based on the eyewitness DM that he was not totally covered up. She was able to see his eyebrows, and we are told that he was wearing a mask that covered his mouth and his nose. Well, that sounds like the kind of masks we've been wearing with COVID for the last 3 years. And it also might explain, by the way, why she wasn't thinking this was somebody who had done something terrible in the house. You know, those kids are used to seeing people wear masks. It's been really normalized over the last 3 years, and these are young kids. So anyway, was his hair covered? He's got a full head of hair. Did that guy walk in there not fully suited up? If so, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if there is some hair evidence left at that scene.
You know what, Cece Moore, I'm going to charge you for all the paper that I use. If you would laugh if you could see all the notes I take furiously whenever you start talking. I'm running out. I'm using the back pages of things the twins did in school in the 5th grade, for Pete's sake. That is so smart. Okay, we don't know anything about his head being covered, do we, Laura Engel?
Well, I have not heard anything about the head being covered. And one of the questions I had for the family attorney of the Goncalves family, who I spoke to Sunday, I asked, you know, have you talked to DM? Have you talked to Dylan? They said that they have spoken to her, but they wouldn't tell me what that conversation was for obvious reasons, for personal reasons. But, you know, we don't know what more she said about what she saw. You know, when I first heard of the story, didn't we all sort of think that whoever did this must have been dressed like a ninja and maybe even wearing goggles for the sake of not leaving your DNA? But to your point, there just has to be more. The bed sheets, the comforter, the staircase, the door handle.
I'm thinking about hair, and I've got to ask Jackie, why are you holding up a sign that says ski mask?
Didn't she say he had a ski mask?
Nobody ever said he wore a ski mask. Did anybody ever? He had a mask covering his nose and mouth.
Wait, what kind of? Was it like a COVID mask, or just like just a regular mask covering his thing? Probably a regular mask, I guess.
I haven't heard anything about ski mask. That's how facts get totally distorted. Has anybody said ski mask besides Jackie sitting right there who just cooked it up in her head?
No, I heard that.
You've had way too many Dunkin' Donut cups of coffee, Jackie. What, Dale? Ski mask?
And I will tell you, it's in the car, as Joe Morgan will tell you. That's where the evidence is. And as soon as they find one of the victims' blood in that car.
That's what they need. That is what they need. Yes. Hey, Cece Moore, I got off track with Jackie's ski mask allegation. What were you saying?
Can I go back to the hair?
Yes.
So the hair, you know, you used to not be able to get DNA from rootless hair, but now we can, thanks to the brilliant Dr. Ed Green from Santa Cruz. And I've helped on 2 cases recently where all we had was a tiny piece of rootless hair.
You mean mitochondrial DNA? Won't that work?
Mitochondrial, yes, but you can actually now get autosomal DNA.
Whoa, wait. What did you just call it? What did you call it?
Autosomal DNA. That's the type of DNA.
Autosomal?
Yes.
I'm going to throw that at Joe Scott and see if I can stuff him. Autosomal. He's probably Googling it right now. Go ahead.
It's the type of DNA you get from both sides of your family, from all of your grandparents, great-grandparents. It's much more unique than mitochondrial DNA.
Okay. And you're telling me I could get autosomal DNA from a hair without a nucleus. And it's more exact than just mitochondrial DNA, which you can get from a hair without a nucleus that only goes to your mother, correct?
Right. Mitochondrial DNA, there can be thousands of people, tens of thousands of people who have the exact same signature. But no one's going to have your exact same autosomal DNA signature except for a twin.
That's why I call her brilliant. Hey, Joe Scott, are you through Googling autosomal yet?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Guys, I'm just pulling Joe Scott's leg. He's an incredible forensics professor at Jacksonville State. Joe Scott, can we just, and everybody jump in, okay? You know, you sure did pipe down Chris McDonough.
You know, I've got some ideas. Nancy. I'm waiting.
All right, Joe Scott.
So everybody, I see some, not everybody, but I see people saying AutoZone. She said autosomal DNA. And apparently Flossie says is foreign DNA that was found on Alexis Sharkey. So is that some type of like, what is that? Autosomal. What the hell there? DNA. Okay. Autosomal DNA is a term used in genetic genealogy to describe DNA which is inherited from autosomal chromosomes. An autosome is any of the numbered chromosomes as opposed to the sex chromosomes. Humans have 22 pairs of autosomes and 1 pair of sex chromosomes, X and Y. Hello? Oh, she hung up. He found it. All right. Whatever that means. I guess it's a form of DNA.
If he could just drop one hair. One hair. Did you hear what CeCe Moore said? If we could just find one hair and all that mess of a crime scene. One hair.
So it's really precise. It's really precise and more accurate, and a more accurate DNA footprint than mitochondrial DNA. Oh, okay. So super accurate. DNA 2.0, 3.0. Okay.
Hair, or as Dale Carson pointed out, one speck of blood in that Elantra. Joe Scott, how are we going to do this?
Look to the hands. Look to the hands, Nancy, because this is key. We've made a big deal over the last few weeks about the examination of these victims' hands at the morgue. Remember, they bagged the hands, which is something that we normally do, all right? But when this occurs, and you have individuals that are fighting back, remember, we've got documented defense wounds. They might be grabbing at the head, and if they do, and plus if there is blood on the victim's hands, and everybody knows how tacky blood is and sticky, it's amazing. It's amazing what you will find contained, not just beneath the fingernails, and those are, you can really harvest a lot out of those, but also just stuck to the palms of the hands and the backs of the hands. They very well, one of these kids very well may have pulled out a root, a hair with a root intact as well. To Cece's point about the autosomal DNA, and some of this hair might be fractured. You never know. But that's why they have gone over these bodies with a fine-tooth comb, Nancy, and they have recovered every bit of trace evidence. I'm hoping they have at the morgue. And they applied a team to this that did nothing but this. The clothes of the kids were taken care of very well. They were sent to the crime lab. Everything was documented. And I can't, we could spend 2 shows just talking about the examination that they're going to do on these clothing alone for trace evidence and extracting anything they can that might be DNA rich.
Okay, I want to hear what Chris McDonough's idea is.
So, Nancy, on the sheath, I want to go back to the sheath for a moment, if we can.
Go, Chris.
Okay, it's laying next to
Maddie,
one of the victims. Yep, by her leg. You notice there's no conversation in the affidavit. I've had many judges ask me, is there anything else belonging to anybody else on this item, i.e. cross, blood, et cetera, et cetera? No, Your Honor, it looks like it's a single source DNA. So here's my thought. That scene was a horror house. Why is there not blood on this sheet? And I would submit to you, if it was, that would have been put into the affidavit. And that's why.
Okay, hold on, Chris McDonough. Say that again very slowly.
Sure. So the sheath, we know there's single source DNA on the snap from a male. And then they've now matched that, through family members. But what we're not hearing is cross, contamination from the scene itself, i.e. if he drops this and he's stabbing, there's blood going everywhere. And I would submit to you, if it ends up right next to that victim, there is blood on that sheet, but we're not hearing about that. So my thinking is, did this guy bring this post-homicide and place it there as part of a staging activity?
No, he didn't have time. He didn't have time to do that. Guys,
okay.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So a lot of people have talked about and theorized like the sheath, right? And people are wondering like, how could he do that? How could he leave this there? And some people thought maybe it's intentional. Some people think it's an accident, maybe caught up in the moment. This is the first I heard of like the thought of maybe he was coming back to place it there. I have also heard people thought that maybe he was coming back to actually go and try to find where he left it. Maybe he realized after. I think it's like probable. I don't think this guy left it intentionally. I think it's probable that caught up in the adrenaline and all this kind of stuff, maybe there was a little bit of tussling or something. Maybe, I don't know, somehow he dropped it. And so when he came, I don't know what he came back for. Was it to look for the sheath, or was it just to see if there was cops there and like enjoy the thrill of like whatever the stuff that he's done? You guys think he's planning it? It is intentional? Y'all think it's intentional? All right, let's do a poll. Y'all really think this guy placed this there on purpose? Why would he play it there on purpose? It's all part of the plan so he can break down the justice system. He really wanted to prove the justice system wrong and show them. So he committed a crime, placed the evidence there, just so he can go through the justice system to exonerate himself. It's all part of the plan. Okay. I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think he like placed it intentionally. Or I think even one of my other friends was like, oh, maybe he was trying to set somebody else up. Maybe it's not him. I'm like, nah, bro. Sheath placed. All right, so let's make a couple options. One, accidentally. Placed on purpose. I can't even spell. Thank you, spell check. I don't know. What are the options? Left behind by accident, left behind on purpose, placed after murders. I really don't think that was intentional, because that's just so crucial. That was a huge mistake on his end. I know that people are like thinking because this guy was educated in criminology or whatever that he had to be some sort of like, he had to be able to commit the perfect crime. I think it was an accident. There are some people that think it was on purpose. Very little people think that it was placed after the murders. I think the guy totally got caught up in the adrenaline, probably. And I've heard too, and I wish I could find the video somewhere, where they were talking about like in that focus after killing, or the adrenaline, that like he probably had like his vision, this focused vision, the adrenaline, that like maybe he like almost blinders, just like tunnel vision type of thing when he walked out of that house. Did he see the roommate? Did he not see the roommate? I'll see if I can find that video. 83% said left behind by accident. 14% say left behind on purpose. Yeah, I don't think there's like some big conspiracy plot behind leaving the sheath there. It is pretty wild that the DNA is just on the little button snap. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's actually funny. JR Poon says maybe he got lost in the visual snow. Shit, maybe his vision was messed up. If that's what he has.
Cracked and saw him go by. Would that work with the evidence as we know it?
It could, certainly. And I mean, when you read the affidavit, it doesn't say she was standing in the doorway, in front of the kitchen. It doesn't give us that detail. It just says that she did open the door. And it's those three things, very distinct sounds and clues that we have from DM Dylan. Somebody
said it's leather. He's vegan. So I wonder if that would go against his morality of his belief. There was a reporter that said it's a food fetish, veganism, which I was like, wow, that's kind of like, I never thought of veganism as a food fetish, but there was a reporter, they said specifically the way he went about veganism, that it was a food fetish. I was like, damn. AF, thank you for the super chat, says there's a terrible rancor of evil in these cases, like darkness that can be felt. Don't judge Dylan. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I know there's already a lot of people coming down on her. Coming down on Dylan. But I am really curious to know, once we find out more information, what happened.
The roommate that she heard who she thought was Kaylee saying, there's someone here. Then she heard the whimpering and crying sounds and a male voice saying, it's okay, I'm going to help you. And then that third and final time she opens the door, she sees the figure dressed in black with the mask and the bushy eyebrows, and then says she locks the door. One of the other things, I want to go back to the sheets just really quick, because you had said at the beginning of the show, we've wondered if Bryan Kohberger got involved with discussions online on Facebook groups and on Reddit and on all these things. But there was a very specific thing that somebody said that a lot of people are saying could probably be Bryan Kohberger. He wrote on a Facebook page that was titled University of Idaho Murders Facebook Discussion
Is
Group.
that when he was going under Papa Rogers or the other name?
Papa Rogers,
allegedly?
right.
Okay.
And this is before the probable cause affidavit. Mm-hmm. And he says one of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent as a large fixed blade knife. This leads me to believe they found the sheath. We didn't know about the sheath at the time.
Yeah,
we did not know about it.
Yeah, but that's a leak from the investigation is where that's coming from. You can't believe that they knew that.
Unless that was him bragging online. And Dr. Bethany, in a nutshell, wouldn't that fit exactly with the personality characteristics that you've observed?
Absolutely, Nancy. That would absolutely fit with his personality. He was inserting himself into everything, online forums, saving a life, creeping on women in bars. And, we were talking about what's along that route between his home and the victim's home. And what nobody mentioned was other victims, that maybe that was a very common route for him. And maybe there are other potential victims that were along that route. So that not only would he have been shedding clothing, evidence, but maybe he was stalking other people as well. I mean, serial killers don't just stalk one person. This is the first in an intended long line of serial killings. And so I think we have to add that into our discussion.
Joe Scott, a lot has been made to whether a quadruple homicide could be effected in 16 minutes. I think it was, Jackie, wasn't it 16 minutes? Laura, wasn't it 16 minutes? We believe he was in the home? Yeah. Okay, what about it, Joe Scott?
Yeah, my thought is that the individual that perpetrated something like this would have to have a familiarity with the environment to move that quickly through this, because this is dirty, dirty work, and it is labor intensive. I hate to put it in those terms, but it truly is. The individual would have to move with stealth. They would have to move with purpose. They would have to know where the victims are in order to facilitate this, and they'd have to be prepared showing up. So, it's possible. 16 minutes, certainly. I know somebody certainly people in the military that are trained at this sort of thing could do it probably under that time. But, you're talking about college kids. You're not talking about enemy combatants here. And so, and if he had familiarity with this environment, I think that's possible.
Well, then his hair follicles might be there already.
If he had been in the home before.
Well, my thought about this, Nancy, I'm wondering if he had not been going in there in that house when other people were not there and maybe nesting in that house. That's why I think that it's really interesting if the cops went in there and looked in the closets to see if there was any touch DNA left behind, or if this guy had been having some kind of masturbatory fantasies in those closets, just hanging out when no one else
Why
is there.
is it when you say masturbatory fantasies, nobody says a word? When I say it, everybody goes, why would you say that? That's gross. Ugh. There's no evidence of that. But you and Bethany talk about it all the time. But when I say it, it's all like, oh no. Why did she say that? Okay.
Okay, the other possibility, Nancy, is that I like the use of Joe Scott Morgan's word nesting. I'd never heard that before, but maybe he was also nesting at night when the kids were sleeping. I mean, he did that work so quickly, 16 minutes. I'm not a crime scene investigator. I'm just like, how do you kill 4 people in 16 minutes?
Well, hold on. Chris McDonough has been at the scene. Chris, isn't it true that from the outside looking in, if you look in every window, you can easily spot the layout of the home?
Absolutely, Nancy. And we talked about this on your show many times, where this guy is such a mechanical existence, and he's taken all of this time to kind of, set the stage like Joe's talking about. And that's where that cinder block in the back window behind the house that we spoke about just doesn't look right. That was just out of place. And one other thing on the evidence that I don't think nobody's talking about yet is after the incident, if he's gone out and moved the items in various different locations, that air filter in that car is going to be critical to take, because you're able to get pollens from the different type of environments, trap them in that air filter, and Joe talk about this for days, but then bring a botanist in and see if those environments are consistent with those pollens.
That is an incredible idea. Oh gosh, that's such a good idea.
They had an AAPC guy come in and check the air conditioning system in the house.
They did? You know that?
I do.
You said they had a what kind of guy?
HVAC, an air conditioning.
HVAC.
Yeah. Came
Nancy,
into the
there's
house.
one more big piece of evidence that no one's really, diving into, and that's the shoe print.
Yep.
In the hallway that they recovered or noticed. They enhanced it with amido.
What is masturbatory? Masturbatory. That means when you're like, I don't want to say it, but like, let's see. I guess it's in the word, right? You spell that shit. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just in the word. Never mind. I'm not even gonna read that.
Black, which is it's a protein. It reacts with the proteins in blood. So, and it's real and clear in the affidavit if, in fact, the footprint was left in blood. But they do have this identified as coming from a Van-style shoe, and it's a diamond pattern. It looks like it. I don't know if it's a heel strike or toe strike, but if he's transferring blood off of the sole of that shoe and it's creating a print, that's very significant. And all of these items, we're talking about knives, we're talking about shoes, all these things. It doesn't take forensics to track this down. This is shoe leather on the part of the cops going out and just trying to determine, did he own these things? Is there a purchase history with these things? Vans are very specific. And I know a lot of college kids have them. My college kids that I teach at Jacksonville State wear them. But, that's significant. Is it something that he owned? And the pattern on that shoe is distinctive to him, depending upon the wear pattern.
As you can see, there is so much evidence to sift through. And so far, all we've seen is a probable cause affidavit. What will come next? We wait as the evidence unfolds. Nancy Grace signing off. Goodbye, friend.
That's Nancy. Okay, that was a good episode. The thing I just wanted to look at, and I'm already past my time, actually. So this is Dylan's DM's room, right? And in her room, confirmed as survivor's bedroom on the night of the events, affidavit information. Right above, I didn't know this until last night. I didn't realize it. Right above is where the murders happened for Kaylee and. Wait, let me see. Confirmed as victim, Madison's room. Oh yeah, and the sheath was found here. Yep. That's pretty wild. That like right above. That's got to be like, bro. Like, just imagine finding that out. Like that your friends. Not only with you heard the sounds and like this guy walks by you, I guess, but like it literally happened right above you. That's just insane, man. You know. Just don't know if you're showing Madison Mogen's third floor window. I feel like there was something else. What else did I want to show? Maybe not. There was a video about the whole defense stuff. I can play this one just to kind of. Oh.
Here to talk more about the case and the evidence that we know about. State Attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Ehrenberg. Dave, good morning to you. Always good to see you. Thank you for talking to us about this one. So investigators in making an arrest did not have to find a motive. That is not their intent and their priority. How about prosecutors to get a conviction?
Good morning, Marnie. Yeah, although prosecutors don't have to show a motive to get a conviction for first-degree murder, juries want to know the motive, especially when they see this clean-cut guy with no criminal background. They want to know why he did it. Now, I think it's coming into focus why he did it. He seemed to be a devotee of serial killers and crime. I mean, he studied under the BTK's autobiographer. I mean, he was so interested.
Which BTK has denounced, supposedly, well, having contact with him.
Interested in true crime that looks like he wanted to be the center of his own story.
Let's talk a little bit about the evidence that we know about that was released in the affidavit. What do you think is the most significant piece of evidence that's been publicly realized that will help prosecutors get a conviction?
I think the DNA is most powerful. I mean, science is science, and they have to a 99.999+% certainty that the father was the father of the DNA left on the sheath of the knife, meaning that this defendant's father, to almost a certainty, was the father of the killer. So I think that is really powerful. Now, remember, all the evidence that we have heard of right now has not been tested by the defense lawyers, the witnesses, and I think that's another powerful bit of evidence. The eyewitness that was there that night, she hasn't been put on the stand under cross-examination. You also have the defendant tied to the white Hyundai that was used in the crime. They have cell phone data that shows him in the vicinity before and after the crime. So they got a lot of evidence already, and I suspect there's more to come.
They don't have the murder weapon, though, at least to our knowledge, and we were just showing a similar knife on the screen. How critical is that piece of evidence?
Well, it will be helpful, but in so many cases that we deal with, we don't find the murder weapon. And these guys, especially this guy who's an expert in this area, who is obviously knowledgeable enough to hide the murder weapon or to dispense with it. But you can still get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt with all the other evidence out there. The one thing, though, that prosecutors will find as a challenge is to convince a jury of the motive, because, as you said, you know, the jurors, they don't have to have a motive, but they want to know the motive, and you've got to show why this guy would do a crime like this. But I think, to me, it's coming into focus. I mean, this is the kind of person who is either, according to reports, either a serial killer or a wannabe serial killer, because he is fascinated by this stuff. I mean, he asked in this research study for information for people to tell them who committed crimes, why they did it, and what was going through their minds and how they felt about it. So it seems like this is the kind of person who would do such a barbaric act with no financial motive just because he wanted to do it.
What do you suspect the defense will do? How will they play this? And we've got this status hearing coming up on Thursday that the defense asked for. What should we expect?
Well, they'll probably try to get more information. I think they use these preliminary hearings to try to gather more information so they can better represent their client. But I think what they may try to do is to challenge the probable cause there, or at least to slow things down a little bit, to try to set a trial calendar that's beneficial to the defendant. But right now, the evidence looks pretty bad against their guy, and the most they can do is probably just try to get as much information as possible at this point.
How do you expect him to plead, Dave?
Not guilty. There's no way he's pleading guilty at this point. He's going to plead not guilty. He's going through the whole defense. He is going to make the prosecutors put everything on trial. He doesn't have to show anything. He can stay silent, and the prosecution has the entire burden. But here's another guarantee, Marty. Not only will he plead not guilty, but I will guarantee you that the prosecutors here will seek the death penalty. Because if you don't seek the death penalty in a case where 4 innocent college students were slaughtered in such a way, then when do you seek it? And Idaho is a death penalty state.
Right. And unfortunately, the jury did not go after the death penalty when we saw the Florida shooting in your state, the deadly shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. How likely is it to seat a jury and the challenges they will face in making that decision in a state like Idaho, and it's such a highly publicized murder?
Idaho is a very red state and very pro-capital punishment. In the case of Nicholas Cruz, which you referenced, Marnie, was in Broward County, Florida, a very blue county, a lot more progressive attitudes, anti-death penalty in some parts. All you need is one. Idaho is much easier to get the death penalty, and I think there's a really good shot at it. Now, I do think there's a very high probability this case will be moved out of this small town into a bigger city like Boise, but they will be able to find a jury of his peers to be objective, because you don't need to find a jury who will just, be a blank slate. They can know about the case. They just have to say that they can remain impartial. And I've found in high profile cases, we always can get a jury.
Well, he faces the death penalty, if not that, life in prison.
That's what we talked about that too with Maven, which, by the way, Maven, what's up? She's out there in the chat. She was a guest on a channel the other day, Mystery Maven, and she's an attorney. So thank you for coming on. All right, so I guess that's kind of it. I did the poll. Is Papa Roger Bryan? 73% believe yes. 27% believe no. There's a high probability on that. Make sure you check out the channel sponsor. Doing a giveaway at the end of the month. I guess 1,000. I guess we'll see. 1,000. I guess 500 from Swagit. Maybe I'll throw in 500. We'll see. And by then I should have that Cash App stuff figured out too, and PayPal. Let's see what else. I guess that's it, man. Thank you guys so much for coming through. I think tomorrow we'll do another update on Anna. We'll be looking for whatever else comes out with this case, and maybe we'll start every now and then. We'll start back to plugging in cases. And we did 3 live streams today, so it's been pretty busy. We did great. I really appreciate you guys coming through. Yeah, the chases are like so overdue. I don't know what's going on with the chases. They're not even like really trying. I think they're just telling me like call it off. AF Consults, thank you for the super chat. AFS Consultants, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Serene, thank you for the super chat. Says iCkEdMeL, exactly why I wanted to share with you. It's not that impossible to make it happen in such a short time. It's really very simple for all these experts. They just don't live in the moment. All right. Thanks, Pam. Appreciate that. Thank you. Really interesting. Physics says that Chronicles of Olivia interviewed a high school friend who said he had visual migraines without headaches. Very interesting. That could coincide with the whole post. Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone's on the 30th, I think. Was it? Let me see. I still have the link up here. Sarah Boone. January 30th, 9 a.m. We're going to do that. We'll find a way. We got to do that. January 30th is on, let me see what day that is. Probably a Monday. Yeah, it's on a Monday at the end of the month. The trial for Sarah Boone, accused of leaving her boyfriend in a suitcase to die, is set to begin January. I think that one's going to be interesting. We've been waiting for that for a long time. It got pushed back a couple of times. We got to check that out. For sure. That might be, I've been waiting for a long time for us to like sit down through a trial, and it's very tedious. And so I've been kind of like selective. I want to make sure something, whatever we pick, hopefully is going to be interesting enough for us to sit here like 7-8 hours a day, you know? I think this one's going to be kind of interesting. And I'm wondering how long it should take. Oh, hold on. There's actually a pretrial coming up too. So I need to make a note of this. So on January 17, Boone is set to appear before a judge in a pretrial hearing, 9 a.m. So I gotta set some reminders calendar notes. On the 17th. Okay, let's see. Ooh. Kayla just sent me this. Apparently, too, for the story we've been covering with Anna Walsh, JB posted, police are searching this trash station. Let's take a look. I gotta go. Let me show this real quick and then I get out of here. JB Bueno. Whatever. So they're searching here. So and that's what I was wondering, because we were talking about like how would this guy have this potentially allegedly disposed of her. So they're searching the trash station. Ooh, also just in, husband Bryan Walsh allegedly searched online for how to dismember and how to dispose of a 150-pound woman's body. Bro! So if you haven't seen when I covered this story earlier today, go and check it out. Go to my page. Check out this story because we go through all the details. And I have a feeling that we're going to be talking about this tomorrow. Okay? Obviously not looking good. All right. So I covered this earlier today. Go check out that story. If something breaking happens tonight, I'll come on, but we don't have any notifications. I'm thinking tomorrow we will touch up on this really interesting, messed up, crazy, weird story. They had 3 kids together. So definitely, check that out if you haven't done so already. All right. Now, there was also a 5-person murder unaliving today in North Carolina. Really? There's people just offing themselves in the whole family. This better be single or something. These people are just nuts. You're not leaving me. No. These people are crazy. Oh, legs. I don't know. Let's see. Can we do a good one? It's all right. Is it kind of weird that I'm doing this? I need an OnlyFans, right? Is it kind of weird? They're gonna cancel me for doing that shit. He's showing his legs for a sick bastard. Maybe I would do an OnlyFans if I could just do my legs. Can I get away with that? There's people that just do feet, right? Yeah, I could just do legs. I don't know. I guess that's the running joke. All right, but I have to go, man. I love you guys. I will probably be back tomorrow. I have some really interesting stuff going on, man. I really do. So just look forward to it. I saw the super chat too. Sweetness, thank you so much. The chat, yeah. Sweetness says I DM'd you on Messenger. Okay, I'm gonna take a look. Thank you, Mel. Good night. All right, I'll take a look. Thanks. Lindsay says Papa Rogers was Papa Rogers on Trev Live today. Was he? So it wasn't Brian? Amazing. Yeah, there's interesting stuff coming up. We're doing the giveaway at the end of the month. Check Swag It out. All you got to do is click the link, download the app, follow me on there. I'm doing extra videos on there. You get a chance to win money. Well, I'll have to talk to Joe. I have to catch up with him, see how we do it. But yeah, my hair is kind of I don't know. I don't know which way to do it. Probably he's a narcissist, self-centered. Look at him stroking his hair. Yeah, I got the calves. I got to keep working, though. I got to keep working out. My goal is, because I'm going to CrimeCon in September, I want to get in some serious shape for September so I can stunt when I go to CrimeCon. No, it was just a YouTube account that commented. Could be a troll, iCkEdMeL. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Tracy. Yo, the gas station lady, that shit was crazy. All right, only legs. What's your only legs? Leg stalker. Yeah, that lady at the gas station. Yeah, I never saw her again. I've never had somebody compliment me on my legs like that before, but she was checking me out. I don't know if I could do veganism, man. That's tough. And I don't know if like would my mood change? Would my mood fluctuate? Would I be aggy and stuff? CrimeCon's gonna be in Orlando. I'm staying right at the hotel that's gonna be right there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Mel wants to get all the criminals. I'm looking forward to CrimeCon. I think it's gonna be so much fun. And I'm just gonna get to meet a bunch of people. It's gonna be a blast. I think it's gonna be good. So, all right, man. I love you guys. I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care. Peace. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloop.